Everybody, it's like the host hasn't joined yet, from what I see.
No, it seems to be few people today.
Yeah,
We have moved 1 hour. Maybe some people have misunderstood,
that's an interesting point. Yeah,
but it should come out right. At least it did in my schedule.
Hmm. You'd think the host would have known when the
Yeah,
meeting started, right?
yeah.
Hey, Nick, how are you doing? Steve?
Well, so
Yeah, I'm
maybe I
doing
can
right.
tell you.
I think I'll hang on a few more minutes and then if nobody picks up
Mm,
the pace. Yeah.
Oh, I got an invite by email or whatever that did have it for this newly rescheduled time, so I think we should be okay.
Hmm.
yeah.
Who's in charge of this particular subgroup?
Jack Kohler, I
Yeah,
believe.
Oh,
and Gemma.
yeah.
I think it's Jack and Gemma.
Okay.
And we are waiting for them. Quick question. I have just installed that Python in my my PC, but I haven't been able to set up the tool. Have you been doing that? Have you been able to set it up?
I did a while back.
You did?
Uh,
Does it work? Because I haven't had time to set it up. I just installed the program, the software right now.
I did it a few months ago. I haven't looked at it recently because I've run it off the web-based version most recently.
Yeah,
Uh,
I use the app and it works fine.
Think if you're using Python locally on your computer, you got to go to a different link to download the to download the program
okay, so I
locally.
must have a link to download the program, the application, and
Yeah,
because I have it set up on my local PC. Okay,
it's one of the links. I think you go to the wiki page and you
okay.
click.
If it works on your browser, why bother?
You can run it on your browser directly. I mean, okay, well then I look there. I haven't had time to look into it. I just collect
Yeah,
the number of links here from.
I can't really look at it conveniently today because I'm traveling. I'm on
Uh,
my phone, not on my computer,
yeah.
so I can't help walk you through it.
Okay. Now I managed to install the software itself in the on my laptop, so at least I have it there. But I don't have the economic tool set up yet.
Yeah, no, yeah, you can download the tool from the link.
Okay. Also to the standalone version on my PC.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Am I doing that in the software, in the Python software? or
Uh, no, I think
you got a
you gotta
link?
download the tool and then you direct it, you, you open that file from your Python software.
Okay, open the file from the Python software. Okay, I will have a look.
Wonder where Jack is.
You know, he's the one who set the meeting up. Do you have his contact information? Maybe you want to ping him.
All right. Let me mute myself and see if I can call him.
Take my picture off here.
I just called Jack. He'll be with us in about 2 or 3 minutes.
All right.
I gotta say, working Zoom off the phone app is a lot clunkier than doing it off off the desktop.
Mm.
I'm surprised Gemma's not on because they moved the time to basically to help accommodate her,
Yeah.
but she may be stuck in traffic.
Okay, what have I missed?
Hi,
So
Jack.
far, you've missed nothing except that there was some question about how to run Python locally on the computer.
Oh, cool. We can talk about that. There are a couple
Yeah.
of ways. Which way did you decide?
I have. Do you hear me yet? It's Christer here. I have. Yeah, I have managed to download the software on my laptop, but I haven't been able to set up the application Economic Tool. So that's what we discussed. I haven't given it time yet, but what I understand, it's a link. You download it from the web, and then it will be, or you paste it into the Python software, or how do you get it into the software?
Okay, there are. Let's start with that because that's probably horribly important. Because it's Python, deliberately it's agnostic. You can do this a bunch of different ways, and the one that we put the easy link on the software, and I'll share my screen in a minute, and we can walk through it again. Um, it if you click the correct button, it takes you to a place called Google Colab, and
Okay.
I'm not sure if you have to have a Google account. I do, so I don't know what it's like if you don't. Um, but once you're there, it just kind of sets it up. There are two things to do then. Um, and if you get a chance, if you go to the slides from the EMEA Summit, the only thing we did with our slides for the tool is literally walk through this process. And I made a bunch of slides for it, which we didn't have time to talk through, but I want to make sure they're in that deck so people have like a step by step. If you get into Google Colab in the upper right corner of the screen, there is a place where you connect runtime. And that's probably the only trick. And that takes a few seconds for it to go online and connect you into the Google servers. And then on the upper left, there's a little cell that says run all. And you click run all, and then it goes and does all the rest of the things for you. Another way to do it, if you don't like Google or don't want to use Google, again, this is agnostic. I have one laptop where all of my Python things come up in what's called Visual Studio Code, which is a Microsoft project, and it will run right on your laptop. Sometimes there can be some update problems or mini tool update problems, little particles in the machine. And that's why we put people on Google Code, because it always updates itself and it's always ready to go. And if you don't like either of those, there are a list of companies. Another one I use is called Anaconda, but it's something you have to pay for. But then it opens on your machine inside Anaconda.
Okay.
So let me see. Are you in the middle of doing one of those?
No, not right now. I'm in an exhibition, but I actually asked my IT support to install Python. And when I have that installed, I open Python and try to paste in that link to the software, but that obviously didn't work.
You would have eventually gotten there, but it was more work than you needed to do.
Okay.
Let's see if I can find.
But you mean the instruction is available on these slides to OCP EMEA?
Jack,
It literally is.
Can you screen share so we can point to where he can download the tool?
Let me see if I can do this. Let me do screen share. and I will start from scratch so we can walk through the whole thing.
That would be useful.
Yeah, let's just walk through the whole thing. I'm going to go to I'm getting verified. It's waiting for me to know that I'm not a computer or a bot. So let me see. What is it going to take for me to share the screen? Yeah, I don't know what's on that one. Share the screen. So we're probably looking down a tunnel here. And well, we'll just start from scratch.
Okay.
Working without a net. Here I am at the front, and I say Open Compute Project.
Excuse me.
All right, we see that. They have moved things around a little bit here. Cooling environments, heat, cooling environments, heat reuse. If we go to the wiki, that's where all of this group's stuff is, and we go to the bottom. Down here is where the tool is. And mostly what the slides do in the thing is say keep scrolling to the bottom. So if we keep reading from here, this gives you all the instructions. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, particularly after we do this first time. If you use this one right here, where it says open in Colab, if I do this right, this should take us and open a new window in what's called Colab, Google Colab. And this is code, I'm sorry, we can't get rid of. But over here at the top right, it says connect. So what Google Colab is, they set aside a huge batch of their servers, and you can run any kind of code you want to on Google servers. And this one is small enough that it'll run on the free service. You don't have to pay for this. So in a second, we're going to be connected to some kind of Google server, and you can look and see what it is or not, or most you can just let it go. The only trick left is this one called Run All.
Run All, okay.
So I clicked Run All, and Google says this was not authorized by them. Yeah, I don't care.
Run away.
Yeah. So this over here will take about a half a minute. And what it's doing is it's loading all, there are like 2,500 lines of code that is, first of all, it's loading them. And then when you use Python, there are tons of outside products that have been established, and it's bringing those in and setting them up. And it's doing all this out of sight so that it doesn't, annoy people. But see, it took 33 seconds.
Do you have to run every time to get updates, or have you made run all once? The updates are coming automatically.
In Google Colab, it will automatically update every time you restart. There is a trick about the difference between literally putting it in your laptop. You're running this, in this case, I'm running this through my laptop. If you download it onto your laptop, then yeah, all those things would stay the same, but you'd have to set that up in Microsoft's VS Code or one of the other, what's called an IDE development environment.
Yeah. Another stupid question here. How do you start the program then? What are you
we
pressing
just,
next?
when I hit run all, we did. That's it. We scroll down here.
Ah,
And
there
then
it
we
comes.
do-
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
And then what'll happen is in this meeting, I'd like to take like what's the next steps after this. But then yeah, it just doesn't all fit on one page. So and I apologize that this code has to be here until we get a front end, like a website or something like that. But again, this is all the free
Oh,
stuff
there it comes.
for everybody. So there's
Oh,
that.
perfect.
And then these right now, today, there's these 4 things, and we have, these, and these are all clickable. And
Yeah.
from here,
And then
if you hit calculate system, now
Yeah.
you can do 2 things. You hit calculate. Oh, I got one wrong. We still don't have that data. So it'll do all these things. And it does this
fantastic.
really fast. And if you decide, okay, well, I've seen that. Now I want to see something different. You can now change this to that. And now this goes very fast. So that's all done already. Or if you want to change the approach or the temperature rise, boom, done. It's all the setup that takes a little time. Then there is, because we're not running this in
Done on Colab. It's basically run in the cloud. Is that correct?
it's a cloud. It's run in Google, the same servers that they use for the cloud. You just doing your running host. They're hosting your programming, and the last downside of that is when you're done with this, because it is in their cloud, you will eventually either you'll wait too long or you will do too much work or whatever. It's telling you how much RAM you use, how much disk space you use, blah, blah, blah. If you let it go idle, they'll shut it off. Or if you overuse your limits, and I don't think you can in this program, they'll shut it off or you have to upgrade or something. And then you have to restart. But every time that it does disconnect over here, and that's disconnect and delete runtime, that means all this work will go away. So when you get to whatever you want to see, you can export the data as CSV files, or you can export the charts. If you don't, right now, it's all gone. And if you close your computer, then you'll have to do all that loading again. Or we can reconnect.
Now, Krister has the Python loaded locally on his laptop. So how does he load? How does he load the tool itself onto the laptop and run that? Can you show us how to do that?
Otherwise, I use what Jack is showing me right now.
Very, very optimistic of us to see if I can actually do that.
Yeah, because I asked the IT support to implement it. We must ask for permission, and they gladly did it. I was the first one in the company using Python, so they were so happy to do it. But anyway, I think this is a much smoother way you are showing here, so that's good. I'm
awesome.
I'm okay.
Because that's really the part of the rest of why change this into Python. We got to move. We can't stay in 1987 forever. If we read all the way through this quick start, somewhere there is this Google version or this local installation version. So
yeah, I tried this Google local installation you are showing here, and I took that link and pasted it in, but it didn't work. Nothing happened. Okay. It was just a line on the screen.
Okay.
Did that in, did it take you to the GitHub repo?
You want me to unshare so you can do that?
I do not have that. I'm not on that machine at this time. I'm in a different office.
Right. So you want to? So I don't know how long you've been on. Did you hear the current question?
I just joined.
So the current question is, all right, if we're not doing Colab, then what do we do?
Right. if you go down to the local installation instructions. Okay, stop there, please. And Krister, did you say that you went to the first line there where it says, did you get past the cloning the repo?
No, I took where Jack is pointing right now. I took that one and pasted in according to the instruction, but nothing happened. Is this the correct link to paste into the Python software I have installed on my laptop?
Aliana, what's a thing I can do right now to demonstrate?
Okay, I'm looking at that, and if that did not do anything, the very first line, so it says git clone HTTPS.
What exactly do I do with it as a new user of a computer? I copy this and put it into a new.
You should be able to copy that and put it into a command window, or PowerShell window, something like that. And you would want to put that into a directory where you want that code to go.
Oh, so that's good.
Through that.
Yeah. So we probably, then we probably want to add a few more lines to
yes,
to the thing. So I'm here now. What can I do? Can I do this?
yes, you can. You can view the project. What I'm saying is, you would want to take the line that you wouldn't paste it here. You would want to paste it into a PowerShell window or a command window on your machine.
Right. So yeah. So we'll have to add instructions into that README, because that's probably not what we were going to do in this meeting right now.
Right.
So this would be like in Windows, when you go to the start menu, can you put in a DOS editor or something like that? Command line editor?
A command line editor, a command line window is exactly where we would want to put this. And we would want to put it into, we want to change directory into a directory we wanted to have this code. And thank you for doing this, Krister. Thank you for showing how this can be improved. I really appreciate this. We need this, and this means so much.
Aliana, the thing you missed, if you had just come on, was, and again, just like we said at the EMEA, it's the point of what we're doing here, at least part of the point. Krister took this to his IT department, and no one else in his company had yet asked to work in Python. So we're breaking new ground here.
It's awesome. I am ecstatic. Yeah. Thank you.
And that should inform the rest of the level of instructions, like what we're taking for granted and what we shouldn't.
Yes.
So there's that.
So
Jack, can you open it? Sorry, go ahead.
So what I also see in looking at this is, not only would you want to open this in a PowerShell window and create a directory where you want that code, but I can see that you would want to install Git before doing this, because the first word there, or the first two words Git, means that it has to have Git and Git clone. Now, I want to, Jack, would you mind scrolling up a bit? Because I think it says that you have to have Git on there. No, it does not.
I don't think it does.
Okay. Then that needs to be added. Both of those things need to be added before that first line. And this is helping us improve this, because I see it and it says, oh, Git clone this. And I'm so close to it, I can't see that, oh, hey, there are things that need to be there first. So
Git is its own program that you have to install on your computer?
Yes, Git is something that we use So if you go to, you're currently on GitHub. If you just look at the top address bar, you see it says github.com. That is, many things use Git. And that's, so it's so used that in certain areas that we're hosting this on GitHub. And so I didn't even think about it, and I should have. And so I appreciate, really. Go ahead.
I think an exercise you and I can go through then is to take the cheap little laptop that doesn't do much of anything and
Yes.
do all this over in it, because it will force us to redo it. You know, in the machines that we use every day, all this stuff is already done, and you forget to set everybody up for it newly. But with that little cheap, crappy machine, we'll have to, and that'll remind us what we need to do for normal people.
Yes.
Um,
Thank you.
so let's see. Did we? I'm trying to remember, where did we leave off? We've already run it. I've lost track of how many questions there are and who was asking what. So I'll go back to where we were.
So you install Git, you clone, you use that command line thing to clone it. You got to give it a directory to which you want to load it. Assuming the clone is now loaded on your local computer, then how do you run it? Do you drag it into Python, or do you have to file, or what?
Sorry, I lost my unmute. The world's been trying to figure out how to do that for years for me. The instructions should be there in that local installation.
Let's walk through and see if it's fairly.
I tried to follow that, but when I open Python program, I copy in this link, but the problem was, Alana, nothing happened. It was just standing there and looking at me.
Yes.
So I thought I was able to run the Python in the Python program. There's Python software.
Right.
But if you didn't have the Git, if you didn't have the repository clone, and if I say repo, I mean repository. Please, if you have any questions on anything I say, please stop me and ask me. So the first line, git clone, if that has not functioned and fulfilled everything that it needs to do, then the code is not there for Python to act upon. So we have to have the git, and we have to have git go out and get the code, which is what the clone function or the clone word means. So git has to go clone everything from the GitHub, and then we have to change directory into the place it has put the code. And
okay, that sounds complicated. Yeah, then I understand.
Yeah, that's a little more than we can do in this day. We're working without a net here anyway, so we will edit this before the next meeting and have it cleaned up so that it's more universal, which was the point.
Yeah.
In the meantime, in the meantime, I know there are companies who aren't able or allowed to use
yes,
Google.
and I have some things for that. I have some other ways to run the notebook. I just have not had the chance to put them in here yet.
Right. So I know there are companies who can't use Google or any of the persons on the call in those situations. Is it possible that if you need to run the tool, you can just go to Colab right now, or is there someone who cannot do that?
I will check. I haven't tried this version you are showing me right now, so I will check. but we have very tough restriction in our company, so therefore I must go to
Right.
IT support and ask for permission, and they do the job for me. But I will find out. Good.
Okay,
Now
great.
I know much more. The program looked great. What I saw at least.
Super.
If you click on the open and collab link, that's
Yeah.
basically run. It's access
makes-
through the browser.
Yeah, see the top line, collab, research, Google. That's where it takes you. It takes you to a part of Google in their cloud.
So if Google is not blocked on your computer, you should be able to do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we're aware that there are places that you can be working that Google is blocked, and you may have to just run this locally in your own computer. And as we mentioned, VS Code is one of the options, but it can get complicated sometimes. So that gives us something we need to fix before the next meeting.
Yeah.
Has anyone else been successful in running the tool?
Not
All
yet,
right.
but I will try.
Okay.
I will. I have some available time in this calendar here the next coming week, so I will put some efforts into this and test it up and down and left and right. So
You have spare time. Did you want to sell it? Because
yeah, well, no. To be honest, Jack, I'm actually based in Middle East, but I'm suspended now by my company, my American company. So I'm sitting at home until we are allowed to fly. So now I have 4 weeks. I don't know what to do.
Okay.
Mr. I will try to get this working with you. And Krista, I do have your email, and I will do what I can to work with you on this. I would love to have this working.
Okay,
and
let's
get up and
set
running.
up a meeting. Let's set up a meeting
All right, that
next
sounds
week
right.
or something, and you can lead me through it.
Awesome.
And
That would be fantastic.
That would be great, because there are a few things in here that we'll look at a few of them in a moment that, now that we're at that point, we might want to start, we might have debates or arguments on exactly what to show, exactly how to show it. We might get down to exactly how to calculate something. There might be differences of opinion. Weird, huh? Are we okay if we leave inside the tool right now?
Yeah.
What I'd like to show, given some of the comments that we've had about what to do next, there's some things that we need to do here. And I'd like to at least visualize. I'm kind of reverse engineering into it, visualizing them first before we work on any of the code that does it. But this got us off the ground and got something basic done, but we have a bunch of other things. Let me stop for a second and change. This is in Microsoft Edge. I think I left something over in, where did I put it? Something called Lucid Chart. And I don't know where I put it, but I've added a few check boxes. Let's see if I can. Man, I had that all set up to be ready to go and pretty.
Basically, you talk about the wish list for version 2.
Yeah. here. Now that's great. I'm going to try to share the screen again. Let's see if I still know how to do that. What am I actually showing on the screen? What do you all get to see?
I'm seeing the diagram.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super. So this is not the tool. This is in a visualization program. And we just put stuff over here so we can talk about it. But if we want to, I added a few things to the bottom of it consistent with some of the discussions we've had. So if we start here, that's what we already have. One of the questions, and I know not everyone's on the call today, but there are people who have questions about pumps. There are folks who have the point of view that in this system, there are probably already existing secondary pumps that pump throughout the data hall, and those might already have enough head to put fluid through whatever this apparatus is, and it may not need extra pumps. We need them both in the cost of the capital to buy them, cost to install them, but primarily in the operating cost. And so either they're there or not, or there might be more than one pump to actually handle the load, because there are a lot of ways to do this. And then there might be two pumps in there where we're actually adding the capital cost, but only one running operating cost, like a redundant pump. And then it occurs that perhaps those things happen on the heat host side also. So I'm thinking of secondary as the data hall side, primary as the heat side. Another thing that I don't think have even approached here, but when we talk about CDUs, this is a big discussion. What about filtration? Whose job is filtration? Where does it go? Who pays for it? Who runs it? Who maintains it? And I put a secondary box over here. Down to what level do we need to put filtration? There are arguments that, a year and a half ago, someone would have said, yeah, 50 micron is not good enough. We need to go 25. And immediately someone pointed out that 25 is not good enough. So there's a lot of room for discussion here. So I think there should be at least a variable for it. It's either a checkbox, it's either there or not, or it's there and we have to decide to what level. I don't know if we've established a allowable pressure drop in the design guide. I'll have to go back and read that. If you all remember that, you can let me know. Another thing, for example, there might be thermal storage, and it might be on either side for a different reason. I can imagine large thermal storage on the heat host side, which might be the size of a lake or who knows what. There might be temporary or small stage thermal storage on the data hall side to manage transients. Or just allowing for the possibility here or not. And then again, this is a visualization program. This is that. So we can, at this point, either take any of this out if we don't think we want to allow for it. I can make this as big as we want. But before we do any further coding, we should probably get to the bottom of what should this list really look like.
Yeah.
I'd also suggest that we may have to modify that basic diagram to show where those secondary pumps and heat storage might be sitting.
No kidding. Yeah, I think you're right. I didn't think of that, but this is very, very, very basic. We might need to keep a basic one because I think most people still aren't fluid with this, but I think all these things have to be, yeah, you're right, Steve. It has to be defined somehow. Are there other things that need to go in the list? I know that we've dabbled with discussions about heat pumps, and I don't know how we're going to go about that exactly. But if we're going to include it in the overall economics, we have to at least, I don't know, make a stab at
Yeah.
it.
The heat pump would probably have to be on a block after the discharge from the heat recovery exchanger.
Uh-huh.
So if you scroll back up to the drawing,
Mm-hmm. Like
so
out here?
warm fluid to heat consumer, you'd have that arrow would be going to a black box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that also that could become really, really messy because there are a lot of ways to do that. For example, across here for one side. Yeah, who knows? Does anyone know if any other group is already working on that?
No, I don't know.
Okay. I will check with Gabriel. And
You may want to check with Barath because Microsoft has done heat pumps, in some installations in Europe. So you may want to see if maybe they have a simple block diagram or something.
I don't know if he has a stand-in. I'll look. Remember, he's on paternity leave in India for a while.
Well, you could probably email him and ask him if he can get us a contact who's been working with the heat pumps in Europe.
I'll see what can be done.
And then we put it there as a black box. But if you take filtration there, Jack, what do you actually mean? Is it filtration of particles in the lobe?
It is.
Okay. For heat exchanger is what we call mesh size 20. I don't know exactly what that corresponds to. So that is something we can have as a default value, and then you can tick it on or off. But most of the system have a filtration, and it's a mesh size 20. I think it's 1.1 millimeter, something like that. But there is tables for it.
Okay.
And that's it, so to say.
But for a
So
closed loop system, would you need to, after the initial filtration, would you need to keep going through through the filter?
As it's coming out right now, Herb, for the people who are studying applying CDUs, which is similar to this, I know it's not the same, but it is the same water system. And as it comes out, there are multiple groups who are arguing both internally among themselves and then across each other. Microsoft, for example, has a microfluidics plan. It sounds like science fiction, but I've held it in my hand. It needs filtration better than 5 micron. And there are people who are arguing, 2 is probably appropriate for some. I know in experiments I've done here in my shop, we ran 25s for a long time in a closed loop, but it wasn't particularly sterile water when I loaded the machine up. We ran out of 25 micron filters. I bought some 20s because that's what was on the shelf. And the 20s picked up microorganisms that the 25s did not. So I hadn't done any biocide or anything. It was just tap water. It's just, experiments out here. But in real life, even though it's a closed loop, there are things that will occur. And that water will actually need to be treated through its lifetime and filtered. I didn't see that coming, but people have proved it in this last year.
For closed loop, maybe you don't need it. I mean, you can have 20, mesh size 20, and then you can tick it on and off depending on if
That
you
would be
need it or
my,
not.
yeah, that would be my approach, frankly. You'd have a bypass
Yeah.
to, you know,
I can see that on the heat side, but I have been taught now that that won't pass on the data side.
Okay.
And it's a huge argument too, because of people who are making CDUs. I know this is not a CDU, but it's close. This is like an easy one to try to cheat on, right? We'll just throw something that looks like a filter in there and everybody will be happy. But if you actually filter down to these levels at the kinds of flows that we're looking at here, that's a lot of fluid, and it ends up being a huge pressure drop.
that's right.
Therefore,
Yeah, the pressure drop is the problem.
Yeah, it makes a huge power draw. You'll spend as much money running the pump to drive through the filter as you would drive through the heat exchanger.
That's
So
why I thought that the initial in a closed loop, I was hoping that in a closed loop, the initial runs would be, 3 or 4 days through the filter, and then you could bypass the filter and get better operating performance.
Everything I've built up to these last few years, I've done lots of cooling systems, and exactly what you said is pretty much right. For every round numbers, every 1,000 gallons in the loop, an hour. Just if you got 10 or 20,000, run it for a day and you'll be fine. That doesn't pass anymore. And if I didn't see the evidence actually holding in my hand, but I can see this is going to be a thing that we have to allow for in the tool for a future as that argument changes, and it may go either way, but I think we have to allow for it.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
The part that really astounded me, I was running, again, it's a lab and I'm testing the equipment out here, and the 25 microns, when I ran out of them, put the 20s in, all the new particles that bound themselves to the 20s, they were green when we took them out in the morning, and they were brown in the afternoon as they sat on the bench. So it was all biological.
Yeah.
What are we using, stainless steel pipe, or what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's all stainless.
That's surprising.
I know. I was, I say all stainless. Yeah, the CDU is all stainless, but there are some metal pieces, there's some iron pieces somewhere within it. But
Could be the problem.
I think the future is that all this stuff will be either stainless. Is anyone seeing any composite or some kind of plastic piping in their loops yet?
Well, you have to be pretty high temperature for plastic piping. If you're above 60 or 70 C, you're going to be, the plastic may not be the right way to go.
Right. I think you're right.
We are starting to see some PVDF piping, which can handle much higher temperatures and is molded. It's particularly of interest in things like manifolds on the racks.
Okay. How do you fit those? Is that a thermal fit, or is that?
I'm going to have to sign off. I'll apologize.
Okay, sir. Thanks for staying on. Sorry I started late.
No.
Steve, how do you fit those pipes together? Are those crimped?
Well,
or
at the manifold, they'll be essentially pre-manufactured, and they may have threaded fittings for the valves and stuff like that. But to the main CDU, they'll probably be connected by flanges
or clamps, maybe.
Clamps or flanges?
Yeah.
Okay.
But on the heating side, this plastic is coming more and more. They can take up to 80, 90 degrees.
Okay.
So It's more and more popular because it's cheaper to install.
Right.
So it exists. But maybe that is the bonus area. So we should take one step at a time. Though.
Okay. So to close the call out, we have a couple of things to do in the instructions to make that very, very clear on the multiple ways to run the tool. And I'd like to start planning to get started on adding these pieces in. And it looks like we're not ready to add heat exchanger until we know some more. And what was I going to ask Barath about? If Microsoft has a I'll have to listen to the recording. All right. Any last words from anybody?
Oh, great job.
Thank you for using the tool, Krister. I appreciate your support.
Yeah, thank you. And hopefully next time I should be a champion in Python.
All right. You can train us.
Okay. Bye-bye, guys.
All right. So long.
Cheers. Cheers.